Hello and welcome to The Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us as we provide you instant reaction to Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. On the back of what's been let's be honest, we're only Monday, but it feels like it's been the most crazy, chaotic couple of weeks on Last Word on Spurs. And we've been saying that all we want is some positive vibes around the football club. And look, we know it wasn't the most dramatic, the most enthralling, the most inciting 96 and a bit minutes, but at least we've got a win to bring to you. And joining me on tonight's show, I'm joined by Lee McQueen, Leon Emirali, and the wonderful Richard Cracknell here, bringing you the reaction to this game. And as we also look ahead to Preston North End to come in the FA Cup on the Saturday. Cracks knows it. It's the magic of the cup. We all love the magic of the cup.
You know it.
Cracks knows it. Leon knows it. Macca knows it. We love the magic of the FA Cup. We've got all that to come on Last Word on Spurs. But a reminder, if you need doing so, that we are absolutely delighted to be sponsored by the Beavertown corner pin. That is the Beavertown bang opposite our south stand. Now, we always make that running reference joke that we know Macca absolutely loves the Lazer Crush. So if you're looking for a change to a usual beer or think of trying something different during this January, in the UK, we do namely name it Dry January. Beavertown have got their cracking alcohol-free IPA Lazer Crush, which you can get online at beavertownbrewery.co.uk. And bear in mind what Spurs are doing to us at the moment. Look, we don't want anybody turning towards any form of alcoholic nature. So maybe, Macca, the Lazer Crush is the way forward, right?
Lazer Crush is the way forward. I was off booze, alcohol, for 4 months, and I had my first tipple on Christmas Day. I've had a couple of tipples since then. You needed to have a couple at the North London Derby, to be fair, don't we, viewers and listeners? Let's be brutally honest about that. But yeah, Lazer Crush is happy days, mate. And of course, you know exactly where the Beavertown is. It's bang opposite the south. Come on.
You've never seen Lee this positive in weeks. Spurs have won a game. Spurs have won a game.
You know what it is? I'll be honest with you. Absolutely outstanding tonight. We are back, baby. We're going to win the league. I can hear the Champions League music.
Is that the fair play, Lee? God.
Do you remember that fan from that lot up the road last year? It's coming home, baby. We can hear the Champions League. Brilliant. But yeah, look. We got to win, and we needed it, didn't we? Let's be honest, lads, boys on the show, everyone watching, listening tomorrow when you're walking your dog or on your run. Oh, man, at least we can have some sort of, woo, we've got 3 points, and that's really all we needed. There's no point going negative tonight. Let's just stay. Well, let's just enjoy the win.
I feel like we've done what needed to be done the night before in terms of discussing Conte with the DiMarzio links, Paratici being banned. I mean, hopefully we can try and enjoy a win and just reflect on some form of positive. Can I just say before we start the show, just a magnificent again, our fans this evening at that game. We heard you loud and clear for the full 96 minutes. You were incredible, those away fans. And like I say, if only our team could play as well as our away fans sung, we'd be winning that league pretty much every season. We'd probably doing the quadruple because they were superb.
To be fair, Rick, just quickly on that before we bring the other lads in. I mean, they were absolutely magnificent. And maybe they did get us over the line for that extra couple of percent tonight because they were magnificent. From start to finish, every song, magnificent.
They were. Leon, let's kick off the show with you. Lovely to have you back on Last Word on Spurs. We won't forget the last time you were here around a year ago. I know you've been on the show since then, that we were actually discussing whether Antonio Conte was going to stay or go in that dramatic Burnley match. I know you won't forget. I won't forget. We thought we were talking about Conte's departure. Like I say, similar to Sunday, we didn't know what was going on. But look, that's a huge 3 points in the context of Spurs' season. It puts us within 3 points of the top 4. Albeit having played a goal more, Harry Kane equaling Jimmy Goose's record of 266 with a remarkable solo fantastic winner. As I said, that away end was incredible. How big, Leon, could that win be in the context of Spurs' season?
I think it's massive, Ricky. I think that everything is still to play for, isn't it? And I've been just as down in the dumps as everyone else has been over the past few results. But I think tonight gives me a lot of optimism because you look at the league table. We're still to play for with the top 4. I think that there's some signs for optimism there tonight. Some good individual performances from Emerson. Obviously, Harry Kane speaks for himself. I thought Højbjerg had a few decent spells as well. Lloris kept the clean sheet. So lots of positives there. I think that we can kick on from there, I hope. And yeah, I want to say as well, the away fans were phenomenal. I've got my friend Ilana is many months pregnant, and she was there tonight. So I hope it wasn't as mad as it sounded in there, but I'm sure it was. But I thought they were superb. And I think Harry Kane and the away fans made the difference tonight, and that's all it takes. 3 points.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, look, Cracks will come over to you and we'll go to Macca. We'll be honest. I mean, that first half on our private WhatsApp group, there was a lot of anger, frustration, I would say, in terms of the context of how Spurs were maybe playing, being brutally honest with you, but then came with a real moment of absolute brilliance for Tottenham. I mean, overall, when I think you think about the context of the season, probably is one of our best wins when you consider where Fulham are in the league and the way what's happened in terms of Spurs' season so far, the negativity around the camp. I mean, you'd argue it's got to be up there at least with the Brighton away win, where obviously we know what happened with regards to that fixture and the loss of Gianpiero Ventrone. And Spurs do find themselves now just 3 points behind Manchester United and Newcastle, albeit having played one more game than them. How do you assess, Cracks, the magnitude of that win?
In the context of what's gone on just this week, I mean, every day so far in the last, I don't know, it just feels like forever, the last 2 weeks, every day on Planet Tottenham, it's been like EastEnders, isn't it? Every day, the day sort of finished with that drum beat at the end of it. And like what's coming tomorrow, isn't it? I swear at the moment, Tottenham, Lee, get out of my pub. Honestly, I think Tottenham's had some sort of bet. Tottenham's had a bet with a Tory pie at the moment, and like it's like, hold my beer. Who can come up with like the biggest like gaff and like, oh no, what's going on today? It's just like it's crazy. But yeah, given what's gone on in the last few days around the club as well, then it's even more impressive that they've dug in tonight, pulled that out, that result. And do you know what, Rick, as everybody else has been saying in the comments and amongst us if away fans were footballers, they would be Harry Kane, Tottenham's away fans. They were absolutely magnificent tonight. They struck a great balance between having something to say about what's going on at the club at the moment and supporting the team. And they struck an absolute balance. And do you know what? On 90 minutes tonight, they've probably done more for that movement, if that's your thing, than what's gone on YouTube and pods and on social media, or unsocial media, as I call it lately. Honestly, they've probably garnered more support, for that cause, just by getting a good balance, a sensible balance of having something to say, but staying right behind the team. They were magnificent tonight, you know, and them away fans, they're the lifeblood of this club, you know. I know there's lots of people that come and go and odd games and that, but your away fans are generally the core of the club. They are the club, you know. They're the sons of dads that took them as kids and they take their kids. They're the constant throughout the club. And they were brilliant tonight. Absolutely fantastic. But not as good as Emerson Royal. Come on.
God, the days we thought Emerson Royal would get a standing ovation on Last Word on Spurs, I thought those days were done. Macca, let's come over to you. Look, it is a vital win for Spurs thanks to Kane's record equaling goal. Now level with Jimmy Greaves. As I said, that result now moves within 3 points off third. Look, I know we have a right to be happy tonight. We've seen our team win. It hasn't been the most stylistic win or the most, I'd say the most, convincing win. But we did fight in that game, and I think that's the one thing, Macca, many have been questioning whether this team has got the fight. And the argument tonight is maybe we didn't really show a huge amount of quality, but on the back of what's been a really difficult week, I would say, of everyone associated with the club, the manager, the board, the players, the fans, we've all been affected, right? We're all affected. We're all connected to the club in some way. Whoever the blame lays on, again, it's a multi-layered thing as we've gone through so many times on Last Word on Spurs. But Lee, we have to remind ourselves now, we're in a position where, we're within 3 points off third, still in the FA Cup, still in the Champions League. I'm not trying to be happy clapper. I'm just telling you as it is. There's still a lot more to play for, Lee, right? And as I say that to you just right now, I just want to let you know that Antonio Conte's been out doing some of the press rounds and said, I'm really proud to be Tottenham manager. So give me your reaction to that and the overall thoughts on that result.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, I'm going to enjoy that because I personally have needed that, and I think everyone's in the same boat, right? We've all needed that, so I'm personally going to enjoy it. Doesn't mean to think, all jokes aside, I think we're going to go and win the league, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Of course not, but I'm going to enjoy that. And yeah, look, if you want to go through some of the performances, they were woeful. Some of the passing was woeful. Some of the performances, in the first half in particular, wasn't great. So not celebrating that per se, but we're celebrating the fact that we've got bloody 3 points. And sometimes that's just what it's about, isn't it? Keeping a clean sheet. I think Harry Kane said it perfectly in his interview afterwards for M&F. Sometimes, we had a meeting in a week, go back to basics, galvanise each other. Let's go again. Let's get back to where we was this time last season. You've got to remember that, this time last season, Harry Kane weren't scoring the goals that he was, but Son was scoring the goals that he isn't, type thing, like at this point in the season. And, we were kind of worse off this time last season than where we are now. So there's a hell of a lot of stuff that goes on beyond this game, that's for sure. And again, I just want to put on record what Cracker said. I completely echo exactly what you just said about the away fans. The balance that they got, it was literally brilliant in what they were singing the whole match. And there's a lot of frustration about the club, but if you can't enjoy a win, right, you've got to question yourself. Honestly, I do think that. So that's why I'm enjoying the win, Rick. I'm going to enjoy the win, and I'm going to now look forward to. I have to be honest with you. I apply for every single away game this fantastic football club has, and I never get them this season and last season. And I finally got ticket for Saturday, so I am going to Preston in that away end, and I cannot wait. So it's going to be very, very good. I can't wait, mate. It's going to be superb. So getting amongst some of that, sing some proper Benton Kerr songs, because he is the reason, right? You know that, don't you?
He is the reason. He is. I mean, Lee, you mentioned again, interesting point there. Look, sometimes it's just about winning and just enjoying that winning feeling. Leon, coming around to you. Look, Conte is, again, we're going to bring in these obviously quotes. Obviously, once Conte has done his press conference, we're waiting for him to do that right at the moment as we bring the show to you live. But he has been out on the presses and just said that from his perspective, he's really proud to be Tottenham manager. We showed again that when we play as a team, it's difficult to play against us. He followed that up and said, when I see the attitude, the desire to fight together and to help each other, for me, that's very important. So, I mean, Leon, look, on the back of what's been we're at the start of the week here, really, with Conte. On the back of the Sunday reports from Conte and his future and that being up in the air, despite, I thought, first half, there was a feeling where the players, to some degree, for me, didn't tactically look like they knew what they were being asked to do. You can't question, I think, in the second half, the level of fight they showed to get the result. So where do you stand on it at the moment, Leon, with regards to maybe the manager and the players and the way it's coming together at the moment tactically?
Yeah, I mean, Conte didn't look like a manager who's packing it all in a few months' time. So I think that is something to look into. But then again, maybe that's just how he is, and he's only got one mode, which is 10. But look, I think that I don't think the system works. I think we've all had that conversation many times over the past few weeks. I think there's question marks about the system. I'd like to see some more flexibility. That's probably why the team didn't look as fluid as they could do. But I do think we're maybe 1, 2, 3 players away from that system being able to work. And then at that point, you think, well, okay, if Conte is going to commit and he is going to hang around, then he's the right manager to be backed because he's got that winning pedigree. I think the fact that we got 3 points is important. I think the fact that Conte looked passionate on the sidelines is important. And I think the players looked as though they wanted to win. I mean, it was a bit sloppy. I think Lee touched on it. It was a bit sloppy. A couple of passes going amiss from players that you wouldn't ordinarily expect that of. Bentancur had a couple himself that I thought was uncharacteristic. And whether that's concentration or minds being elsewhere because of what's going on outside of the football pitch and what's going on elsewhere in the club, I don't know. Who knows what goes through those players' minds? But it looked a bit sloppy. But ultimately, I think that Conte is someone who looks like he's up for a fight, even if he is going to go at the end of the season. I don't think he's going to go out with a whimper. It's not the way he does things.
It's interesting you say that, Leon. I mean, at the moment, you'd probably say it's quite hard to read between the lines because, again, as I said, he's just doing his presses at the moment. Cracks coming around to you. He says the most important thing for me is to work with my players, have a good relationship with my club, and then we'll see when he's asked if he's happy in his role at Tottenham. He's keeping fairly tight-lipped. Again, we may get more in terms of when he does his post-match press conference, which will bring that live to you. But from what you saw second half, Cracks, enough there to think that, this can still work for the remainder of the season at least? I mean, as I said, Spurs in a good position in terms of still within touching distance of that top four if they can go on a run. As we know, there's some favourable fixtures coming up. I know that really means nothing in terms of what's on paper. FA Cup to come, of course, double header against the Champions League. I mean, there's so much still to play for. We can't just pack the season in, whatever happens. So much to play for, Greg.
No, absolutely. We can't just pack it in. It's only halfway through, isn't it? So this is we've got 7 days of the window left. So we've still got a possibility to bring some fresh faces in. He looked infused tonight on the sidelines, passionate. There was glimpses of the old, what we used to get for the goal itself. I mean, Sonny, where he stretched his legs, he was looking up into Kane, bang, done. It was what you used to see. It was a glimpse, wasn't it, of what was and what can be. So, 3 points, 4 points. I know we played a game more off of in and around that top four. I know a lot of that comes from the early season and not the lately, which has just been horrendous. But look, people that go, things are not right. No, they're not right. But, every journey of 1,000 miles starts with a few steps, doesn't it? Surely. So you've got to try and stay a little bit positive here and go, right, take tonight and make that the springboard. You just draw a line under what's gone and try and go from there, and just hope that what seems a lot of politics going on around the club with Paratici and the board and Conte and everything, that they can just put that aside and go again for this second half with a couple of fresh faces around the squad and in vital positions. And who knows, it's a long old season. There might be some dropping off here and now. And yeah, while we're still up there and amongst it, absolutely this season isn't over. But one thing I've got to pick you up on, Rick, about 10 minutes ago, you said that first half wasn't very stylistic. And now all I can think of is an old 60s, 70s soul band called the Stylistics. So I think I'm going to try and work in every song title of the Stylistics this evening for the next hour. And bet you by golly, wow, I'm really going to give it a good try. Let me tell you.
Correct. So when there's a will with you, when there's a will, there's always a way with you. You will find them in. What I am going to do very quickly is I'm just going to bring up the stats from this evening's game and just filter in some of the listener statements that we've had in tonight, which I'm going to share with you on the screen right now. So those are stats from the game. Fulham 0, Spurs 1, 10 shots apiece, 5 on target for Fulham, 3 of Spurs, 10 fouls either way or either side. You'd say the 1 yellow card for Fulham, the 3 for Spurs. Of course, Romero getting his customary booking in there. And, it's
Rick,
quite...
can I just say, that 1 yellow card for Fulham should have been at least 4, I think, for that one player, Paulinho. I mean, he was unbelievable. He got away with so many fouls, didn't he, to be fair?
You could argue, I mean, again, we'll come on to Son and the lack of form from Son. You could argue on another night, does Son see red? I'm just, again, subjective at the moment. Many may have thought Son lucky to stand the pitch. But just some listener statements we've had in here. Matt Martin says, great result, but such a tough watch again. Do you remember when we used to control games? Whatever happened to that? Nicky at Highland Spurs says, can't keep playing out of form players no matter who they are. Son needs a few games coming on from the bench and might help rediscover his form. Get a couple of top-class midfielders in. No meltdown after City and then kick on. Darren at Darren Blake 84 says, a win's a win, but does not mask the situation this club is in. It was not pretty and we should be doing better against a team like Fulham. I must add, Fulham, you can't knock them this season. They're right up there, Fulham. Like I say,
really well.
Had Fulham won tonight, they would have gone above Tottenham. So again, I'm not double downing in terms of the fact Spurs should not be beating Fulham. But But I don't think you should knock the fact Fulham are a decent side and they've shown they've been difficult for sides at home. Nathan Lumber says, nervy first half, but we were always in control of the second half, doubling up on and dealing more effectively with Mitrovic. Shout out to Emerson Royale, who I felt was really impressive during the game. James Land says the fans were absolutely superb. They did not stop from the first to the 97th minute. They were the true 12th man of the match. At a time when my club seems to be lacking clear focus and a way forward, the fans stood up and did all they could to show the players the way. Absolutely spot on there. I totally agree with you,
Bang on,
James.
mate.
Stuart Carter says, massive win. That away end did us proud. Do we think Conte needs to take Sonny out of the firing line for a few games? Stuart, I promise you we're going to discuss that during this show. And Coys292 says, no question, just a massive shout out to our away fans. There you go. You've heard some of the opinions there from our listener questions. And I think it's time to get into the lineup of the game. So in terms of team-wise for this one, Macca, I have to give you a little bit of a warning that we have got an issue at the moment with regards to our squad numbers on here that we are working on. So we're going to have a word with the backroom staff at Last Word on Spurs. Benton Crawl, we know should be third.
We need to have a word with the backroom staff.
We are. I've been told this is getting refreshed. This will be refreshed for us. I've been told once the January window's over and we've announced all of our 9 signings, which are all going to then replace half the team. That's the plan.
January signings,
that's the plan.
Yeah, that's fair play.
But let's go to you, Macca. Actually, look, in terms of the team, unchanged for Tottenham. Lloris, Son keeping their places in the team. There was much speculation that maybe both of them might not have done. Richarlison again named amongst the bench, although Conte did admit pre-game he was not ready to start. He was hopeful he would be ready to start for Spurs' upcoming game against Preston in the Cup. It meant Ivan Perisic, Emerson Royale continued as the wing-backs for Spurs, while Pat Matassar missed out on the bench, as did Brian Hill again. So that team read Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Davis, Emerson, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Perisic, Kulusevski, Kane and Son, with the subs of Forster, Sanchez, Longley, Doherty, Tanganga, Basuma, Sessegnon, Skip, Richarlison. Macca, team come out. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, thank goodness, by the way, that I'm not the manager, because all of you would definitely not want that. But I think if I was the manager, I probably would have tried something different, maybe a Sessegnon instead of Perisic, given the fact that the way Perisic played the other day. Having said that, though, I mean, Conte was in his post-match press conference, he was quite buoyed by the fact of the way we played against it. I know we obviously lost the game, clearly, but that 6-7 minute spell was a bit devastating. But actually, he thought we played all right, and actually come out and said that we played better than we did in the February fixture last season. So from that perspective, you probably pick the same side, which is obviously what he did. I think Emerson Royale tonight was very good. I have to say, I said that off air, didn't I, guys, before we came on? I thought he was brilliant. A lot of love for Emerson tonight in the comments, and obviously in the listener statements as well. And I think that it's only fair that he gets a mention, because he scored a really good goal the other day as well against City, which obviously just got completely swept under the carpet because of the result and everything that was going on. So look, at the end of the day, what you want to happen is you want to see reactions, and you want your players to step up. And to be fair, he's played 2 games and played all right in 2 games. You can start to build. Like, I can't remember the phrase, Crackers, what you just said, but it was bloody brilliant. That phrase that you said about 1,000 miles, you have to take your steps first. Exactly that, isn't it? Right? Do you know what I mean? So
exactly that.
Yeah. So you can only look at that. But I mean, some of the passing in that, I mean, I would expect with Højbjerg alongside Bentancur to be passing better. And I thought, as Leon, as you touched upon, I thought Bentancur lost the ball a couple of times or wayward passes, but Højbjerg tonight's passing was way off. I don't mean that I want to throw him in the bin, because I like Højbjerg, but he just had an off game of his passing tonight, which he probably has one of them in every 4 games, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? So actually, when that builds up through the season, that's actually quite a lot. And that defence, I think for me, it says, I mean, I thought Dyer played pretty well tonight. I thought he made the most clearances. I think he done really well. But when there's a lack of, I think the main problem that we talk about is in the WhatsApp group, and we've talked about it on the show. But the main problem that we lack in defence is pace. So we can't push the defence up 25 yards, which is what I want to see our teams do. Push that up, condense the space in their opposition area. But you can't end up doing that because everyone's worried about the in-behind stuff. So to be fair, they have defended compactly and well. And I think in the second half, they really cut out them crosses that were coming in the first half. Does that make sense? So they kind of learned from it. But it wasn't a free-flowing match. And I did feel that it was interesting, actually. Gary Neville asked Kane in the post-match interview, do you hope, or I think it might have been Dave Jones, do you hope that the fitness that you guys are doing is going to help you for the back end of the season? And Kane giggled and said, yeah, we do a lot of fitness work, like with a laugh. And it was almost like, yeah, we're doing too much. It was almost like, he didn't say it like in disdain, he said it as a joke, but he was kind of like, yeah, we do a lot of fitness work. But actually then pointed to the fact that last year we did come good. And it was, I just checked the date actually, Burnley v Tottenham, when Leon, when you was last on, and like it was about to kick off and Conte's leaving and all that stuff, was the 23rd of February. Now we're 23rd of January, and I know we've had the World Cup. So we're only that similar. And I wonder whether all this noise from Conte is to get a reaction again. Because he did that with Burnley and got a reaction, didn't he? Like from the players and from everyone, got a reaction. And I wonder whether he's doing it again to get a reaction. But yeah, I mean, I think that like from a team perspective, we ground out a result. And sometimes you need to do that. So and we did it tonight. And I'm happy for that.
Absolutely. Cracks. We have had Conte just come out for his post-match press conference. So we're going to bring those comments to you right now live in terms of what he has said. So from his end, he has said that the stats do not lie. Maybe we're doing something less than last season. We need to find again the spirit. Today I had a good answer, but they know very well this has to be the starting point. He also referenced that from his perspective in relation to the game itself, that I think we have to be dreamers. I spoke to the players and said, this game has to be the starting point for us. Often in the defeats, you can learn more than in a win. After the game against City and especially Arsenal, it was important to make good reflections with my players and know that we lost something from last season, not offensively, but we lost something defensively. When I say defensively, I want to involve the whole team. So for this reason, I spoke to all of them to show the resilience, the desire to defend the result. I have intelligent players, smart players, and good men. And I think that today they gave me a good answer. It has to be a starting point. Saturday, we want to go to the next round of the FA Cup. To go away to a championship team is never easy, but a dreamer, we have to know. This is an important game. This is lovely to hear about the FA Cup, because you know what this, guys, it means to me. The FA Cup can be important for us and the Champions League as well. 17 games to go in the Premier League. If I see this unity, we have time to have another good season. And listen, Joe, what? Again, Cracks, it's good to see him being positive in a press conference. It's been a while since we've had a positive Conte press conference. And I just hope that lifts the mood in and around the club, right? We all need that, Cracks.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's good positive words. There's a start to start with, I think a lot of this short passes, bad passes, they come from a lack of confidence at the moment. Just this poor feeling that's around them, that when you're in a good place mentally and enjoying things and things are going well, those 10-yard round the corner passes, they come off. When you're not, they don't come off. So tonight, no, they wasn't coming off, but we dug in and we found something and we got a positive result off the back of a bad feeling around the club at the moment. So come Saturday, Conte's already saying, I want to go through to the next round. So the players are now knowing, this isn't a manager that's looking to chuck the cup, because they are out there, and Pochettino quite often through cup games, you could see there was no real emphasis and drive to go any further, and what will be in the cup. And but for him to say that, I love to hear that, because if we make the FA Cup and win the FA Cup, then wow, even if we miss out on Champions League, for me personally, I know not everybody sees it this way, but that's a successful season, or an amount of success that we've not had, in a lifetime for some people. Yeah. So that's good to hear. And I hope that tonight's result, maybe not the performance, but the result, and Conte's words, even Harry Kane's words in his post-match presser. He was talking about, let's kick on from here and get back into the Champions League positions again. You know, that's forward-looking. That's looking up. Conte is forward-looking and looking up. And that may just begin to spark something for the rest of the season. Sure, tonight wasn't pretty, but it was effective. You know, the problems haven't gone away, but you have to take something from the gloom. Otherwise, pack up. It's just, there's no point. People might call us happy clappers for this, but, you know, we can build off of it. He's absolutely right. Let's just build and go from here and take that and go forward. And, you know, I don't care if people are going, no, all these bad problems are still there. But the more you do like that tonight and look forward and look up, the more you leave it behind. So, you know, you go with your own mindset. I'll go with mine on this. And I want this to be the start and the springboard. I like what I've heard from him tonight in that post-match press conference.
Yeah. Leon, you want to come in there?
Sorry, Leon, just quickly, Rick, if I can, pick up on a comment you made, Jason Helms, you put up a minute ago about Conte is so emotionally unstable. And I kind of agree with that. And I actually think as Tottenham fans, a lot of us are as well. I'm not tarnishing everyone on the same brush. But actually, when we win, it's amazing. And when we lose, it's disaster. And the team does play like Conte is on the touchline. I haven't said this before, but on the show since I went. But I went to Palace away, and I had a very good viewpoint of Conte, and I watched him a lot of what he was doing, and he was so coaching, like shouting, telling the players where to be. Like it wasn't just about, come on, guys, you know where you need to be. It was like, get there. No, move there. No, actually move there. And I'm thinking, is that too much? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's so intense sometimes to really get in. And sometimes the players are looking kind of over the shoulder. Like, most of the time, it's like, it's the right back, innit? Like, the right wing back or whatever. He's right next to the touchline, or on the other side, the left wing back. So they're getting it, like, literally, be there. That blade of grass. It's so... like really intense. And I just wonder, the team do play like that sometimes. When the team is on it, like sometimes in the second half, they can be devastating. But sometimes when they're off it, and they're a bit, like Conte is sometimes. Do you see what I mean? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Of your leaders and the people that are around you. And I think that's quite an important point. Like when we come to the wider picture of where Spurs are at the moment. But I spot on, Cracks. I completely agree with you. Just enjoy the 3 points, because this is a building block. You have to start somewhere, and hopefully win today, a win against Preston. We go into the Man City game in a very, very different vein of form, don't we?
Agree. I want to bring Leon in. Before I do, Philip Coleman makes a great point on the screen there. 17 games left, and City are out of the way next. Beyond that, no real fixtures of any horrific nature. Liverpool, Newcastle away, the toughest. So again, it kind of gives you an inkling there of what's to come. Leon, let's bring you in. Want to make a point there?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, I fully agree with what Lee just said about mentality. I think we've spoken about that word so many times on this podcast, and up and down the high road after games and before games is about mentality. And I think that when you look at the squad on paper, I mean, there are a few people before the game, a few people before the season started that would have said Arsenal would finish above Tottenham, because I think we've got as good, if not a better squad on paper. But it's that mentality thing that keeps letting us down. I think we saw that a little bit last week in the City game when we're 2-0 up, and then we end up losing the game. So football is an emotional game, as it says on screen. It absolutely is. And I think just keeping control of those emotions is important for those players. We've got experience in there, though. How many international captains have we got on that field? There's a lot of them that are leaders on the field. Lloris, Kane, Højbjerg. I'm sure there's others as well. Perisic. Perisic. So a lot of experience there. Let's have to use that. And I think coupled with that fitness that hopefully we have got, I do think the latter end of the season is going to be really, really good. And I think that we could potentially kick on with fitness and with a decent run of fixtures.
Yeah, Nathan Evans on the screen there, agreeing with Crackers. Tonight wasn't pretty, but at least we got the 3 points. Honestly, we're lucky we got 3 points, seeing how good Fulham are right now. And he makes a really good point there. Fulham, I know, Again, there are no pushovers in terms of their position in the league. They've been a side that have been fairly consistent under Marco Silva, all behind Conte right now. And I totally agree with that. What we are going to do is we are going to go for our first break of the show. For our listeners on audio, take you into that break. You are going to hear as Crackers referenced from Harry Kane's post-match press conference. I only got cracked up there. See what I did? Along with Antonio Conte's reaction. And like I say, we're back with you after this short break for our listeners on audio. For our watching audience, we've got over 1,000 of you watching us live. Thank you again for, I've got to say, last one on Spurs' support in the last, 7 or 8 weeks. I think the emotional roller coaster, either we've attracted more viewers or Spurs has become a club that all want to tune in for. So thank you, whoever you are, for joining us. Really appreciate all the support, all the love for the show. And again, without you guys here and without these wonderful contributors, there is no show. So again, massive thanks to these guys here for giving us their time. Always great opinions, great thoughts. And like I say, I won't put everyone through what that first half looked like because it wasn't pretty. And to be fair, far too shaky in that first half. Romero in particular, giving the ball away 3 times in possession. Eric Dyer going in for a tackle. But apart from that, really, Dyer had a fairly good game. Fulham were making all the inroads in the beginning. But Harry Kane, that's the but. And he was, like I say, today really the difference, you'd say, in a moment of absolute brilliance, if I'm going to be honest with you. Leon, let's actually start with you because, it's record equaling and the goal itself, collecting Son's pass, turning away from Riemann, curling a beautiful ball into the bottom corner. Trademark Harry goal number 266. Level with Jimmy Greaves now. And look, that's the Harry Kane we all know. And I know, obviously, there's been some reports from Monday that Kane is open to signing a new contract. I hope we see more goals like that, Leon. I'm sure you're going to agree, right?
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane, what more can you say about him? There's been so many games, and this is certainly one of them, that if Harry Kane was on the opposition side, they would have won it. And he is the difference. He has won us so many points to help us, get to where we are in the league table. So Harry Kane is just phenomenal. I've seen some people say, if Harry Kane wants to go, let him go, cash in. I just don't subscribe to that because how do you replace him? How do you replace Harry Kane? Even if we did a swap deal with Man City and Erling Haaland, Haaland doesn't bring half of what Harry Kane brings. I just think that without him, we really would be taking a massive step backwards. So I think that the club should do whatever they can to get him signing that new contract, give him a statue outside the stadium, make him captain, do what we have to do, double his wages, because that guy is so important to Tottenham Hotspur and the way that we play. So I think he's just phenomenal, and I really do hope we get Champions League. I think that's probably going to be the deal breaker for him is playing in Champions League next season and hopefully challenging for a cup and eventually the league. And I just hope that we do that. I hope we do that with Harry Kane in a Spurs shirt, and to see him lifting a trophy would be amazing.
Cracks, let's come over to you. You know what? I can't take credit for this. And this is from Rob Daly, obviously one of Spurs' very well-known presenters out there. Come over to you, Cracks, and he stats for Kane. Obviously commentator for Spurs, a special commentator. When you look at the last 9 Premier League seasons, how many goals Kane has scored in each of them? 21, 25, 29, 30. 17, 18, 23, 17. He's on 16 at the moment. I mean, it's funny, isn't it, that one season wonder, because Kane has just been, you're talking about a ridiculous high-level athlete that's been at the top of his game for Tottenham. And even in times where, Cracks, we've had some horrendous seasons in those 9 seasons, Kane has always, for me, never gone hiding. Yes, there's an argument that maybe in the big games, we haven't seen him quite step up to that plate. You could argue that he's not played enough of them at Tottenham to step up. But ultimately, the stats, the goals, they speak for themselves, Crack, right?
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of that with the step up, he's not, it's not a one-man team. And you could argue that if there was a little bit more quality around him, sometimes he would have maybe found that goal in the big game, or but with what he's had around him, the consistency is it's phenomenal, isn't it? Absolutely phenomenal from Kane. So you can argue about when you get to a final or a semi-final, hasn't quite done it, but there's 10 others around him as well that haven't quite done it, So even this season, after the World Cup, that could have haunted him. That could have battered him. But he's he's taken that on the chin, and off he's gone again, you know. And he looks like when the team are firing and they are getting some service into him, he looks like the Harry Kane that we know and love. And he's dug us out again tonight. Quite ironic that we don't ever score in the first half, do we? Game kicks off 15 minutes late, and he scores in the very, very dying moments of the first half, which kind of would have been the first minute of the second half. So we haven't actually scored in the first half there, have we? It's just like, it's just because we had this 15-minute time slip, you know. Only
you cracks could do that. Only you.
I was expecting like a DeLorean and Michael J. Fox to turn up. Like, it was just like...
They found us. I don't know, but they found us. 1 point, Marty.
So Sonny reached 88 miles an hour. Two tracks of fire appeared, and Harry Kane scored in the first half, which was somehow the second half, I think. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, Sonny, to be fair, he's had a kicking in that first half, hasn't he? But he's made that goal. There was that little flash of Sonny where he's like, you know, he's opened up, he's got his head up, he's put the ball into Kane. Kane's used a defender to disguise a shot, and it was a brilliant glimpse of what they were doing all the time. And like Harry said in his post-match interview, maybe defenders have worked us out a little bit, you know, and that's nullified us, and everybody goes through peaks and troughs. So, you know, God bless Harry Kane. I'm glad he's with us and not somewhere else. And to reach 266 goals and match Jimmy Greaves, incredible, absolutely incredible.
Can I just say, if Kev G's happy, that's a starting point. Bless him, Kev G. I got a lovely message from Kev actually in my DMs. And Kev, like you said, mate, we've got
someone check the Ravens at the Tower of London. Kev G's happy.
Nah, Kev,
we love
mate.
you, Kev G. We love you,
Kev.
We do love you, Kev.
Can I just start on that with the Harry Kane thing? Do you know what's really interesting? I mean, we've been lucky to have some legends on the show. Crackers, you're lucky enough to interview and spend loads of time with the legends. Your good self in all the shows that you do, and obviously we interviewed one over Christmas, didn't we, Ricky? In terms of Jermaine Defoe on this very show, it's fantastic. But what strikes me the most is when you look at Tottenham's record goal scorers, like the top 4 or the top 5, they're all from yesteryear. Like they're not from now. Harry Kane is like happening. Do you know what I mean? Like Jimmy Greaves was, you know, we played in the World Cup, right? In '66 in the World Cup winning side. You know, you got Cliff Jones, you got Bobby Smith. You know, these players played and they were amazing, but they played a long time ago. Whereas Kane is right now, right current. Yeah. And, you know, the top 4, top 5 goal scorers of all time for Spurs, they don't sit in the present. Like they sit all very much in the past. So I suppose the point I'm making is it's not just an achievement to become or equal the great Jimmy Greaves. He's obliterated everyone else that most of the fan base that are watching the show now remember. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, you know, it's quite an achievement, to be honest.
I don't think Macca, we're going to see
another. He feels like a throwback to them days as well, doesn't he? You know, he's the clean cut lad, you know, that doesn't cause any controversy. He's not like me, smothered in silly tattoos, and you know, he's just he just feels like a retro modern player. He's that nice mix in. He's Roy of the Rovers. So
Roy of the Rovers.
You know,
you took the words out of my mouth, Crackers. He's Roy of the Rovers. And the thing is, Crackers, Leon, Ricky, you know, viewers and listeners as well, is that he's one of our own. Like he's not a guy that was brought into the club. Do you know what I mean? Like he is one of our own. Like it's phenomenal. He is my favourite player. I love him to death, and I will cry if he goes. Don't care. I'm a grown man with a family, and I'm telling you, if he leaves this football club, I will cry. For me, the biggest thing that you know, the biggest scene, which I would always also cry at, actually, would be to see Lloris lifting up a trophy this season with one hand on it with Kane, so they almost share it together.
You know what's mad, Macca? The way you say that, we have had some interesting comments from Conte about trophies to bring you in, Leon. And Conte said on just Harry Kane, he said, look, I want to underline that Harry played with a fever. He was not so good because he wanted to play because he could understand the moment. And that is a point of reference for us, for me, for the other players. I think with Hugo, they are the two players who are the point of references in the dressing room. Today, Harry was amazing. He scored a fantastic goal. The execution to control the ball and to kick it in the other way, only a world-class striker can do that. And then to add to that, look, I think Conte's going to get us all with this next comment I've got to read out. And it's, again, the whole situation with relation to, winning a trophy. He says that for him, I would love Harry to win something with Tottenham. He loves Tottenham. Tottenham is in his heart. We have to be dreamers. When there are big words there from Conte. I'm not going to lie to you. Look, regardless of whether the guy's going to...
Stop this, man.
24 hours ago, we're worried if the manager's going to leave, if the striker's going to sign, and then 24 hours later, this is the life of Tottenham, right? It's a running soap opera. I mean, they're lovely words there from Leon, and lovely words there from Leon. Hopefully, it will be lovely words from Leon in a second. But I don't really think, Leon, for you there, again, everyone now has got to pull together. Great opportunity with the FA Cup coming, double header against the Champions League. There's silverware there to win. Again, Spurs reached the Champions League final in one of arguably our worst ever seasons in terms of the squad and just how poor it was. Do you think it's possible, despite the nature of how much Spurs is a basket case of a club, a UK reference there, apologies for those that are overseas, is it doable, Leon?
Who knows, Ricky? With this football club, mate, anything is possible, isn't it? I mean, who knows? We could do anything at this point. But I do think there's an opportunity to win something this season, and I hope that even if Conte, who's, I have to admit, his football I don't love, his style of play I don't love, his system I don't love, but if he can win a trophy for us, that's what he's been brought in for, and you can kind of let that slip, can't you? If we're not playing the best football, but we're winning things, that's what he's there for. That's what he's paid £15 million a year to do. So yeah, I think we've got a big opportunity. I think Harry Kane, keep him fit. And I think we've got an opportunity to win something, whether that's an FA Cup or have a good run in the Champions League as well. And if Sonny can just find a little bit of form towards the end of this season, then it's all possible once more, isn't it? So fingers crossed. It's certainly nothing's off the table yet.
Absolutely not. Cracks, just to bring you in, it's interesting because Lee picked up earlier on the fact with Conte mentioned about this meeting that he had with the players where he simply addressed them all with relation to trying to get the season back on track. He actually expanded on it and said, I wasn't angry, and this needs to be clear. I only showed the stats, and it's the truth. When you have the stats and 21 goals in the last 10 games, it's there to see. We need to do more together. Me as well. Yeah, me as well from Conte. We got an admission now. Maybe I didn't work enough on all aspects. Blimey, what's happening here? I told them the truth. They know I tell the truth. They are smart people, and they tried to give me an answer, and they answered that in this game very well. It needs to not only be the only game, despite being a difficult game. I expect from this onwards to be competitive and make the fans proud of our team. It just feels, Cracks, that we are trying to get some unity back after what's been a really...
Nuno. Is he going down a Nuno? I'll make you proud.
I'll make you so proud. I'll make you so
Don't do that
proud.
to me. God, we're trying to get through a positive show and he brings Nuno back in.
What a great show that was, Rick, wasn't it? The welcome Nuno show.
You know what's funny? When come on, you won't laugh about that Nuno show, the welcome Nuno show. I think only Costa and Jace put themselves forward for that. So I never thought I'd get Anthony Costa talking positive about Nuno Espirito Santo. I mean, I even love saying his name. I don't miss his football, but I love saying Nuno Espirito Santo. Please,
you know what, Ricky? I think I did a show the 3 games in that we won, didn't we? We won all of his first 3 games, and I said we're going to win the league with Nuno. So there you go. That shows how much I know.
That
we beat City in his first game, didn't we? And it was like, really?
Amazing.
This is a picture of his family. He thought he won the league.
but that welcome Nuno show, Rick, we all came on there and we was all like this, weren't we? And then when we went live, everybody just grabbed a big flap of skin on the back of their head to make themselves smile and go, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
I still remember, Cracks, the week after when I had to bring you on for the Europa Conference League for you to share me a positive on Channel 5 catch-up. Do you remember that? Macca didn't do the Europa Conference League, it was below him. Trying to find Europa Conference League guests was a bloody nightmare, quite frankly.
Ricky only got me on because I'm on Ryanair every other week, like back and forwards to the UK. So he thought I'd know all the routes where they flew to and where these teams were that we were playing. And that was as close as he got to an expert on the Conference League. Because I'm
And
on
then you've done
Ryanair.
a shit quiz on the dance floor.
Stop it.
Oh, I mean, in terms of in other action that game, you can see we're trying to fit with. I feel like we're filling holes, filling time here. There wasn't really much apart from that. I mean, Dyer, good performance from him overall. He improved second half. Let's talk about Heung-min Son for a second. Let's talk about Sonny because look, whilst we are having a positive show, difficult to not address what is becoming a really alarming form. And we understand before kickoff, Conte did confirm that Richarlison at the moment simply isn't fit enough to start the game. So again, devil's advocate, had obviously Heung-min Son again being in a position where he could have been rotated for Richarlison if he was 100% fit. I just wonder what the show is. But if I come round to Maka, you first on this, and we'll go round obviously on this here. Son, 76 minutes played, 0 shots on target, possession lost 11 times, failed to dribble past any player. Did get an assist for Harry Kane's goal, but you could argue, of course, Harry created that goal out of nothing. Just 33 touches and 13 out of 17 passes completed. Quite honestly, Lee, what's happened to Heung-min Son?
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's lots of things. The pre-season in his home country, I think, was absolutely massive. It was such a big thing. I think that winning the Golden Boot, or you have to say it was joint, obviously, with Salah, but to get the Golden Boot was a massive achievement for him. To be the first Asian player to do that, and to have the weight of his entire nation on him like he does. I mean, the guy is an absolute superstar. He's just not happy this year. I mean, there's nothing more sad than not seeing Son happy. Do you know what I mean? Like he's normally the guy that lights everyone up, and he's just
agree. Yep.
He's struggling, and it just looks like it's a confidence thing as well. I think he's struggling with the training regime. The comment that Harry made in the post-match interview with M&F, when he made a joke out of that, oh yeah, we do train you hard. I think that's a thing, and I think that's affected Son. I think the expectation level of Son has gone really high from last season, and rightly so. But also other teams now are doing different things towards him because of what he did last year. And Kane, I remember, I'd be interested to see the stats that you read out earlier about the goals and when what Rob Daly put in, when one drops off, a season he dropped off because he had to adapt. There was a season, wasn't there, that Kane dropped a little bit because teams were working him out. I wonder whether that's the same as Sonny, but I think personally the main thing is confidence. He's on the floor. He's not doing the same things as what he would normally do naturally. He's overthinking things. He knows there's a pressure. He can't. You just said, was it 33 times he gave away the ball? Did you say that? That is
No. No. 33 touches, possession lost 11 times.
Oh, 11 times.
Yeah,
I mean, that is incredible, isn't it? Like normally, Son's first touch, there was an instance, I think, in a City game where it was like the ball over the top, and normally he would just take that on his head or on his chest, bang, straight in front of his path, and he is gone. And he got it caught under his feet. And today again, he's given a ball away 11 times because he just can't get it out of his feet. Do you know what I mean, guys? And he's just almost, I don't know, I want to kind of act it. He's almost like just getting the ball stuck, and it's a confidence thing as well. I mean, I think it will come. He needs a run of. I think that's probably why Conte's been playing him, to give him a run of games. I think also Conte hasn't had Richarlison. I think somebody said earlier in the comments, like, wow, it's like we've almost got I think it was Rob actually said Raj, sorry, earlier it said we've almost got a full team. It's like we haven't had any injuries, and we haven't really had that front four fully fit where we can choose them. So it'd be interesting to see if he drops on it or rests on it, whatever you want to call him, takes him out of the firing line for a couple of games. But it might be the Preston game where he scores, bangs in a couple, gets back to his old self, and thinks, like Cracker said, he said it perfectly. Them little steps lead to 1,000 miles. So maybe he's keeping him in there to get that run. Does that make sense? I mean,
yeah, no, it does. Yeah,
I don't
no,
like to see him struggle, but he's been poor. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be honest. If it was any other player in any other position, you would have to. Well, I think the argument. I think it's way overdue now. Him being dropped. I don't know what you think, Leon. I don't think you think Leon coming in there on Son. Look, I will say again, he's showing plenty of fight. He didn't stop running tonight, but it just isn't there. And again, lots of people alluding to the fact: is it tactical or is it personal with Son, or what is it you feel that isn't clicking?
Just quickly, that's that Kane season that Nicky's put up there, them stats, the Kane season. So he scored 30 goals, and then the following season
17.
Quite a lot of a drop off.
Yeah, 17. I mean, what do you reckon, Leon?
You know what? I mean, I think it's a bit of both. I think number one, I do think tactically that system doesn't necessarily work for Son. I think he likes to get wide. I think he likes to sort of explore those areas and roam a little bit and run at players. And I think he's got Perisic now doing that to the left. I think that also teams have figured out that sort of high line that teams would play against us, and then Son would just run in behind them, and Kane would whip balls over the top and would destroy teams when they played a high line. I think they've got wise to that. But it's not just tactics, because he was pretty poor at the World Cup with career as well. So that then makes me think, well, maybe there's something going on in his life, and who knows, there may well be, or it's a mental thing, or whatever it could be. But he's not the player. He's not the Son that we all know and love, is he? He's a million miles away from it. And I just think when you get Kane and Son firing, it doesn't really matter what the rest of the 9 players do, because those two can win games for you alone. But when you've only got one of them firing, as is the case now with Kane, it obviously makes things look a lot harder. And you do get this blip in the run of form that we've had as a result. So yeah, I think we would. I mean, he's a world-class player. I've said that on this podcast before. I think he still is one of the best strikers, one of the best forwards in the game. But at the minute, it's just not clicking for him. I think it's tactics, and I think it's confidence. I think it's a mixture of those two.
Leon,
what do you make?
Sorry, but can I just say, Leon, quickly? Can I just ask? I'm being a bit naughty here, because it might be, nothing to do with it. But he has signed a big contract with Burberry as well recently. Not like it was before, so he's become a bit more of a international poster boy in that way, not just a superstar in his own region and that sort of stuff. Do you think that has an effect? I mean, we're talking Premier League, Champions League. You have to be at the top of your game, and 0.5%, a drop off, 1% drop off in anything, we're going to notice that. But if you've got the Burberry thing, and you've got the training thing, and you've got the confidence thing, and you've got the, all this, that's 4, 5, 6% drops off Sonny. All of a sudden, he ain't.
It's massive pressure, isn't it, Lee? I mean, you said earlier we had the training camp in South Korea when everyone goes mad for Sonny, the World Cup when everyone goes mad for Sonny. I think he's just this global. I don't think we quite get it in England just how much of a superstar he is, not just in South Korea but in Asia. He's launching a clothing brand. He is the Asian Cristiano Ronaldo, and that comes with pressure. And if you're not performing on the pitch consistently, those niggles start to get to you, and then you start doubting yourself, and then it all just sort of collapses in on itself, doesn't it? So there must be all sorts going on, but I just hope that he does figure it out, because he's such an asset, and he's on a big contract here as well, isn't he? So we can't. I've seen some people comparing him to Dele Alli. I don't think we're anywhere near there yet. But
Dele's drop off was 2 or 3 seasons, with no disrespect. I mean, we've had a down period with Son.
Son wouldn't get benched in shit test. I don't reckon.
No, absolutely not. But he's got a big contract here, and let's just hope that we can get the best out of him, because on his day, he's unstoppable.
Cracks, I don't know what you think. I mean, there's been lots of comments in relation to maybe the fact that he's having to play in the same side as Perisic. I mean, but obviously Perisic hasn't played every game for Tottenham, but there's also been that argument that maybe tactically it's not working down that left-hand side. Is that something you've noticed still watching Spurs this season, or what do you put Son's form down to?
I think it could be death by 1,000 cuts, to use a phrase that doesn't really suit, but does suit. It could be many, many factors. The tactics, I think him and Perisic do overlap and sort of run off of each other. Maybe some overtraining that's been alluded to. The confidence and feel around the club. When confidence is low, as I said at the start of the show, that little touch and go is a touch and lose. He's reached 30. As Lee quite rightly said, brand ambassador now with Burberry, brand ambassador with AIA as well. Huge companies. Little bit of eye off the ball, maybe, because when he first came to us and when he was in Germany, it felt like everything was the football. And there was old man Son that like just kept him focused. There might be a little bit of an issue of like in the Rocky films when he's training and he makes it. And then he's doing, you know, the American Express adverts while Mr. T's just like doing sit-ups and push-ups in some old garage, like, you know, a little bit of focus goes. Age, all sorts, a little dip just anyway, something going on in his private life that we don't know about, you know, an ill relative. There could be a million things. It's who knows. I think with the issue of dropping Sonny, again, we don't know Sonny. We don't know what type of a person he is. And as much as you can say drop him, that could make it worse. Yeah, he might be the type of personality that doesn't get dropped, suck it up and go, oh, I'll show you.
Well, he was really angry, wasn't he, Cracks? I mean, you did the Leicester show with me when he came off the bench and scored. Yeah. He was really angry at being dropped. But I think the argument is that sometimes, you know, if obviously when Richarlison is fully fit, the argument will be that you maybe sometimes have to drop a player to get him that angry again to go again. I think Richarlison, obviously,
you don't know if he's stick or carrot though, Rick. Do you really? True, he might be, you know, he might be one that takes the stick, but he might be one that needs a couple more carrots on the end of it. We don't know. Conte will know that. He'll know that, and he should be able to know the personality of the man to be able to go, okay, no, don't drop him because it'll just make it even worse. Or he might just say, no, keep him going. And if he finds a little something, he'll build off of it. So we don't know.
No, we don't know. Like I say, we will wait and see what that brings us. But comment here from Spurs Mark, which is a much needed 3 points, and the relief at the final whistle can't be measured. Fulham right side at the right time. Thankfully, Harry Kane. He's all of us as a living fan dreaming of what we all wanted to do. Big up to the last one of Spurs lads. Thank you so much, Marcus, for that. Really appreciate it. What we are going to do, we are going to go.
I'm going for a quick. Sorry, our listeners. Just quickly on Son, again, maybe a little bit naughty of me because I'm in a good mood as well, so I'm being a bit naughty. But Leon, if I could ask you, and then maybe Crackers in, get your opinion on this as well, mate. So sometimes you get a bit left out being the host.
Who's that?
If Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge of Tottenham, would he be selling Son?
I'm not sure after 17 games this run. You know, I'm not sure personally. There is something there. I mean, personally, I think he should be dropped by now. I think he's being way overplayed. The argument is that Spurs maybe haven't got a natural adequate replacement on the bench. We've obviously only had Richarlison just come back at the moment to play. I think the argument would have been if Richarlison was fully fit, he should have started today. But Conte said he's not fit. So we have to take his word for it. I mean, we're going to do Preston in a second, but I don't know what you think. Let's go. Leon, what do you reckon? What would you do what do you reckon? Ferguson was manager of Spurs?
We know he was quite ruthless, wasn't he? And rebuilding squads.
Yeah, he was. I mean, how old is Sonny now? He's 30. So I think Sir Alex probably would have been thinking about moving him on, if not moving him on. I don't think that's the right thing necessarily in this situation. So I do think, you know, it is just a blip. It is just half a season or whatever it's been. But I just think that if he doesn't improve by the end of the season, yes, Sir Alex probably would have done. I think he might have done.
What would you do, Cracks, if his form continues in Lee's kind of analogy there with regards to Fergie? Do you think we've got a decision to make? We don't know who the manager's going to be, but hypothetically, Conte was still here come the start of the season. Do you think Son will still be a Spurs player based on the current form?
I think the game's changed even from when Ferguson finished immeasurably, absolutely immeasurably. And you can't underestimate the commercial value of Son. That's not something that should even be a consideration. It should be firstly, foremostly, lastly, and everything footballing decisions. But there's a huge commercial buzz around Son, which is of a benefit to the club. So don't discount that the club may well have a big say in what happens to Son on the football pitch because of what goes on with Son off the pitch. And that's not just Son, by the way. That would be at every club where they've got the goose that lays the golden egg for them commercially. You know, with Ronaldo, there'll be commercial decisions that go on around him. And if he plays in the Brazil final that they lost and like half the team was ill, but Nike said, yeah, he would have exactly, yeah, spot on. Levy would have sacked him. Yeah. I mean, we could go another hour if I asked the question, do you think Levy would have sacked Levy if Levy was the manager and Levy was his chairman? So, but we'll leave that. We'll park that one for another day. But back to Sonny. Yeah, it's totally. If Sonny was playing in Fergie's era, then he would have dealt with it because he took absolutely no prisoners with players, did he?
Yeah,
he moved Beckham on, and so no doubt he would have done something with Sonny with this amount of drop off.
Yeah. Just for the record, before we go for that break, right? I would not sell Sonny. I love him. I absolutely love him.
I do think Craig makes a good point. Craig Bowler in the comments makes a great point that
you can't have a rebuild.
You've got to have a rebuild, and no disrespect. Listen, I'm not saying we sell Harry Kane and Son together, but both of them are now going to be over the 30 mark, and if we are looking at the next chapter of Spurs players to come through, we have to wait and see. But listen, let's hope Son does regain some form. FA Cup next for Spurs. What we are going to do is we are going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners on audio. We've still got over 1,000 of you plus watching us live here. So again, thank you so much for your incredible support. We approach midnight here in Last Word on Spurs with John, the wonderful Lee McQueen, the brilliant Mr. Cracknell, Richard Crackers, and the superb Leon Emirali back on Last Word on Spurs in the month of January, not February of last year, which I won't tell you what happened, but we've had Leon on since then. He was here for... Listen, Leon was one of the very few contributors on here that experienced Nuno. He experienced a Nuno effect.
What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive.
I wasn't too sure.
Top of the league, that looks kind of over bottom of the league. I've still got the league table photograph on my phone. I'm like, I still look back at that. Like, how times have changed now, eh? Oh,
haven't they? Well, listen, trophy time, please God. Hopefully, FA Cup. You guys know what this means to me. I always say this, for me, it's arguably one of the biggest games of our season. Macca is going to be there. Cracks is going to be with me after. Actually, that does remind me very quickly. I must do a quick little ploy, a little plug for NordVPN, because for our overseas listeners and viewers of Last Word on Spurs, this is live on BBC One. So this is a great opportunity where you can change your location settings. So if you're overseas, switch them to the UK and you can watch it live on BBC One. That's via the UK channel by using that code nordvpn.com/LWS to get yourself a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus a bonus gift. It's great for doing lots of other different stuff, which I won't say on this broadcast. We'll show at this time of the evening, but I'll let you have a look and see what you can do with regards to changing location settings wherever you are. But check out NordVPN. Preston, big game, FA Cup. Cracks, to start with you. Look, I think this is no disrespect to you, Cracks. I feel like I sit in this mould now with my age that I think for the older fans of Tottenham, there is a real heritage towards the FA Cup. For me, I've always grown up with my dad and family telling me how big the FA Cup is. It's a massive trophy for Tottenham. It's a tragedy that we haven't won it since 91. It's even more worse when you look at the recent lack of trophies at Tottenham in a competition where we've seen a number of Premier League teams go out and a real opportunity to use the win that we've just seen this evening as a building block for what's to come. So how important, Cracks, is this game for you in our season, Preston North End on Saturday evening?
I can only defer to the answers that I get from the ex-players that I work with on doing the Legends Nights, because they've been there, they've done it, and that includes FA Cup winners, UEFA Cup winners, and every one of them to a man tells me that winning the Cups spurs you on and it wants you to go again. It gives you that something around the club to try and push on and succeed and just do better in the league and everything. So, look, enter the Champions League a good few years ago, and it seemed to diminish a lot of things like cups, you know, where this getting in the top 4 was more important than a cup, and it is a cup. It isn't a cup because you don't parade a cheque down the high road and take it to the town hall and go out onto the veranda, do you, to show the fans. So I love the FA Cup. It's what drew me into this club. 81 and Ricky Villa and, you know, Aussies going to Wembley and everything. Yeah. So for me, I love the FA Cup. Offer me the FA Cup or the Champions League next season, I'm taking the FA Cup win every time. I don't care what you tell me about, you know, it won't attract players like the Champions League will. I want to see a cup. Sorry, I'm an old dinosaur, and some of you kids are just going to have to wear it. The cup, it means everything to me.
I said before, I mean, my namesake, Ricky Villa, I am Ricky because of him. My dad named me after Ricky Villa. It was always going to be Ricky, he told me. He always said that, always going to be. So, again, like, the affection I've got for the FA Cup is huge. I've been brought up on that. It's a massive, massive competition for Tottenham. We've always had a heritage with it. Mac had to come around to you. And, you know, I think we go back to, September 2009, the last appearance between the two sides. Peter Crouch, I think he was in a hat-trick that night, 5-1 at Deepdale. It feels like a long, long time ago. Lots has changed. Lots has happened. How big, Macca? You're going to be there, of course, for you. I presume you're not going to be there unless you felt it's important for you in your context of the season in terms of how big this is for Tottenham, right? The FA Cup?
It is massive, and it is massive every season for us. I mean, it's almost like a bit embarrassing saying how big it is for us because we don't win it. We ain't won it. You know, growing up as a kid, I remember supporting Tottenham Hotspur. The reason why I became a Tottenham Hotspur fan was 1987 FA Cup final that we lost obviously against Coventry. But the push and run, can I say that? The push and run football, it was superb. I mean, we played some brilliant stuff, even though we lost the game. And we were 8 times winners of the FA Cup, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, we won it in 91. It was our 8th time. We were record. We were the club that held the record. Sorry, I get my words out. Held the record at that time. We'd won it more than any other football club. So it was really important. The massive history in the FA Cup for Tottenham, the first non-league side to win the trophy. I mean, that has it ever been done since, or will it ever be done? Like, it will never be done again. A non-league side winning the FA Cup like Tottenham did. So it's steeped in history for Spurs, and I just. It does get overrun by Champions League, and I am like a little bit like, you know, some of the other lads that we have on here, you know, some of the other regulars that we have on here in terms of, you know, Daily Hotspur, Little White Rose. You know, we've had these debates with crackers and whatever about, you know, what comes first, top 4 or the FA Cup. But where we are in the season, we're quite well placed. If you think about it as a marathon, we're quite well placed in the league, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're quite well placed. I think somebody put it up in the comments earlier. We've only got Newcastle. I say only, it's terrible to say that. But, you know, the games that you'll worry about away from home now in the league are Newcastle and Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. You know, you've got that. Imagine Arsenal bottle the league and then we could win the Champions League. And I'm not being funny. Like, I'm not saying that we are going to win the Champions League, but there's 7 games to win the Champions League, right? And we could actually win the Champions League by only winning 4 games. Because of the away goal rule, we could lose to AC Milan, and then have a better result and beat them at home, on the home fixture, and we go through. Right? Are you with me? So you could lose, win, lose, and as long as you win the final, you win the Champions League. So we could have an amazing.
Macca, I've missed you. Macca, I've missed you, mate.
No, I know.
Honestly, I've missed you. No, I mean, it's lovely to hear positive stuff.
I'm not saying we're going to do it, but I'm saying is, you know, when Conte's coming out and saying that dream thing, it's not about being a happy clapper. It is about football. Is about dreaming, isn't it?
What we watching it for? If we're not going to enjoy, what's the point? If we can't enjoy it, what's the point?
It's about going, oh, can we? Would we? Can we? You know, can we do it? Like, we can't win the league, we know that, but we can win the FA Cup, and we might not. And the probability of us winning it is lower than some other teams. But isn't there 9 or 10 Premier Leagues already out the FA Cup? We're only in the 5th round. We beat Preston, which is going to be a tough game, but we go there, we give it, start really fast, do well.
Yeah.
We can win the game, and who knows? You might get a home draw against, I don't know who's in it anymore, Mansfield or something. And like all of a sudden you're in the fucking semi-finals, isn't you? Do you know what I mean? It's like it's not long. So I say, look, go all out for it. And actually, the way we are in the league and the way that our form's been, you can start to prioritise. This is what I'm trying to say earlier. In February, 23rd of February, first week in March, that's when the big games. We're a month away from that still. Do you know what I mean? Like, we still ain't got to that point yet. The big games are yet to come. There's massive amounts of football to be played. So you just got to get through the heart. We've had a real tough moment, like really, really tough moment. So maybe that's passed on now. Maybe it ain't. You know, this club probably not. You know, Conte probably gets sacked next week, and it'll be a nightmare, and we'll have Nuno back. But you know,
don't do that to us. Macca, let's get a prediction from you, Macca. What are you gonna go for?
Tottenham Hotspur, Preston versus Tottenham Hotspur. Well, I am taking the drive out of all them amazing away fans. I can't wait to start singing all them sing songs in the mixer. Right in the mixer. I'm going to go for Preston North End 1, Tottenham Hotspur 3.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. I think the next time, Macca, we see you, it's on the other side. Oh, no, it won't be. We're going to be hopefully having a deadline day show, so we won't be on the other side of the transfer window just yet. We won't be. Let's cover out Leon, mate. Leon, been an absolute pleasure having you back on last word on Spurs, bud. Really, really enjoyed having you back on. Nice to have you on for a win. Look, I think that's the thing is when we introduce, again, the guests coming on, I feel like our regulars have had it in the right neck recently, bless them, with what they've been served up. So it's nice to have some of the regulars back on and a guest as well, where we've had, like I say, a Spurs win. Leon, what are you going to go for, bud?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the FA Cup is important. I think, I grew up. We didn't have Sky as a kid. I remember watching Spurs. The only time I watched Spurs was on the FA Cup because they were on the BBC. I remember Paul Stalteri's screamer against Leicester. Back in, was it 2006? I think that was. What a goal that was. So the FA Cup's still got that magic, and I fully concur with what Lee and Cracker said there. I reckon 2-0 Tottenham against Preston. I think we can do it.
Nice.
I think we can do it. I have to admit, FA Cup ties against teams in lower leagues. When Carlos Vinicius came on for Fulham after his hat-trick against Marine, I thought, here we go. It's written in the stars. He's going to get that last-minute equaliser, isn't he, for Fulham?
Oh,
yeah,
man,
and the famous cross-up. Thank God he didn't. But I reckon 2-0 is my prediction for Spurs.
Amazing, mate. Look, we're looking forward to having you back on again this season, Leon. Before I let you go, actually, final thing for you. We haven't really addressed, really. Transfer window, we've got, 5-6 days left. How important for you is it that business is done now on the back of that result to give everybody a lift and actually get some real momentum? That stuff is not, again, where we are at in terms of we can still have a really good season here with a couple of decent additions.
Yeah, we can. I mean, look what happened with Kulusevski and Bentancur last time round. You know, January additions can make a big difference. I just think the problem is that this uncertainty about the manager is going to affect what we do in the transfer market naturally, because we're not going to buy players that, you know, doesn't fit into a Conte system if we're not playing with that in a few months' time. So I think that's the problem. And I just hope that Levy, Conte sit down in the next couple of days and sort something out, you know, one way or the other. So we've got some certainty, can do some business if we need to do some business, and make the most of this season, because it's all to play for. We're in the cups, we're still in the running for Europe. So it's all to play for.
Absolutely. Cracks, come over to you, mate. You're back with me on Saturday night for this one. We've got the brilliant. We've got the
only because Ryanair don't fly to Preston. That's why I'm on. Like the Europa Cup.
We're gonna have a really good Saturday night. We've got myself, you, Sammy Powell, and Jar Wobble join us. I mean, if ever you want a top tier panel that's going on, that's going to be a lot of fun. I just hope we get the right result, because if we don't get the right result, poor John Wobble I spoke to earlier today, bless him. I'm sure. You know what I'm like about the FA Cup, Cracks? I'm not sure what it'll be like if we go out of this. God help him.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's FA Cup day. It's what the dreams are made of. And Lee's spot on. You know, there's been some people in the comments going, oh, the Champions League, are you're back on the booze, Lee McQueen? And them. No, Champions League, you can dress it up with like all your stars and like that sort of opera choral music that they play. It's a cup competition, the same as the FA Cup and any other one, cup competition. You can absolutely go through and win them. Listen, we made a final not so long ago. We were lucky to get there. You get lucky in cups. And you can't get lucky in leagues, really. You know, leagues don't lie. But cups, you absolutely can have a little bit of luck. Spurs don't get much of that, but maybe it's all getting saved up for one. Maybe it's the FA Cup. Who knows? But, you know, just it's dare to dream, isn't it? That's what the FA Cup's all about. You just dream that you just get a little bit of luck on that day and you're through, or a little bit of luck on that day and you've done it. You know, we can all sit here and go, well, the balance of probability probably means that, you know, and start pushing the specs up your nose and that. But I didn't get into football for like, do you know what I mean? It's like, no, hang on. I've checked my little book and like, you know, my slide rule. And because like football's not a science, is it? Yeah. So
it's just the Andrew Macca's doing, right? Top right, above you.
Macca's the absolute opposite of what he's actually looking like there. I didn't get into football and then go, well, the probability probably says, according to my slide rule, that we won't do it because the percentage. No, it's not. Football's chaos. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And I buy into that side of the dream. You can stick with your algorithms and like your books and that. I'm a dreamer. Simple as that. Don't like it. Well, you know, it didn't do bad for John Lennon being a dreamer, did it? He made plenty of money out of it.
So
he did get shot, though, Crackers. He did get shot.
There you go. And that's the flip side of it as well, isn't it?
Crackers, prediction, what are we going for, Cracks?
Hang on, before prediction.
1-0 Preston. Now I've said all that. You know it's coming, don't you? And that's the yin and the yang of being a Spurs fan. It's never dull, is it?
Classic Spurs.
No, we'll win it. We'll win it. Yeah.
To be fair, boys, viewers and listeners, we could. What would you take this at the beginning of the season? Top 4 finish, Champions League winners, and FA Cup winners. It can still happen, boys.
It tells you what does a win do to you.
Mate, wake up thinking, hello, this might happen. I mean, Arsenal are dreaming it right now. All my Arsenal mates, there's Arsenal mates who are, you know, your Arsenal mates in the chat. They're dreaming it. They never thought they would win the title this year. It's happening for them. They're going to bloody win it. It's painful for us, but they could go on and do this stuff. You got a dream, mate. You've got to be in that situation. Doesn't have to be unrealistic. Doesn't matter if you get it wrong. Doesn't matter if you muppet, you got it wrong. So what? At least I had fun thinking it was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like going on the plane to Champions League final, right? Back in 2019. I remember I was in France, so I got a flight from France to from Marseille to Madrid, and then I met the boys over there. I was on my own. I was surrounded by Liverpool fans everywhere, like all over in the airport, whatever. They're guaranteed that they're going to win the cup. Like, guaranteed. They are talking like, yeah, we've got this in the back. Spurs fans are like, yeah, okay, yeah, you know, we're just happy to be here. Do you know what I mean? You got to like believe in what we do. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. But sometimes you've got to believe. And the FA Cup is exactly that tournament, in it. Yeah,
agree. Macca, let's close it with you. Prediction and how important is the next few days in terms of the transfer window for Spurs to get busy?
Well, 3-1 from a prediction perspective for the match. Mate, we got to get jiggy with it. But let's be honest about it. For all the grief that we give the football club, and rightly so, we didn't sign Bentancur or Kulusevski, as Leon just said, until the 31st of January last year. We're now in that exactly situation. Thank you, Dan. I love you too, bud. You know, but at the end of the day, we're in the Tottenham transfer zone, aren't we? This is literally the Tottenham transfer zone where something's going to happen. You're going to have something to happen. So it needs to happen. So I predict we're going to sign 2 players. I'll be honest with you. I think we'll get to them.
Rick, I've already referenced one 80s film this evening with Back to the Future. Let me give you another one, Trading Places. We all know Daniel Levy is Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy going onto the trading floor because they've got the orange crop report And at 2 minutes before trading finishes, Daniel Levy shouts 167, and everybody comes piling in. Don't they? That's what a transfer window's like. It is Dan Aykroyd at the end of trading places, isn't it? It's 5 to 11. We're 5 to 11. It's like I hate it, but
5 to 11.
we're 5 to 11. Look. If Conte's going to be here, I don't know. Is Poch going to be here? I don't know. Is Nuno coming? I don't know. Is Gary Megson coming? Who knows? But if you buy the right quality, don't buy the right quality of player, and they play with any manager. So that's that's what I want the club to do. Buy the right caliber of player, plays for anyone. Nuno, Megson, Conte, anybody. So just go out and get the right caliber of player.
Absolutely spot on. Richard says here, I was accused of being a glory hunter for supporting Spurs at school. We were winning everything. There's been some patience since, then, Crackers? He says there, Richard.
True, Richard.
Spot on. He's right. He absolutely is spot on. He really is. And Sheets of Metal says, you Spurs can beat Man United for third. Listen, who knows what's to come? What I do know for certain is that we're going to be with you every step of the way on Last Word on Spurs. Again, I must say a massive thank you to the watching, viewing audience tonight. Over 1,000 of you plus watching us live on a Monday evening, which has seen Spurs beat Fulham by a goal to 0. We've been joined by the wonderful Lee McQueen. Macca, thank you so much, mate. Hope you enjoy Deep Down and what it is to bring you.
I'll send you some videos of me, I'll be on the Lazer Crush for sure, right? So, but I'll send you some mad photos of me or videos of me singing "He's the Reason" in the away end, which
Please God, mate, it's for a positive result, mate.
Thank
you so much.
I won't be able to sing it, will I?
Well, we'll have to see if there will be any changes. Macca, thank you so much. Cracks, we're looking forward to having you back alongside us on Saturday, mate. Thank you, bud.
Thank you, Rick. And look, I know a lot of the problems haven't gone away, but, every work day needs an hour and a half lunch break, which I think everybody's had this evening, haven't they? And just a little something away from it. We're not saying it's all roses and there's still big things going on, but just to have a little evening off of it is lovely. So yes, it is still there, but sorry, I'm on lunch this evening.
Look, Rebecca, that's a great comment, Rebecca. I put it up on the screen. Rebecca's comment there.
Listen, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Likes if you hate Arsenal.
You're absolutely right, Cracks. On the back of what we've had the last 7 or 8 shows, I don't think anyone will begrudge us the opportunity to have a little bit of positivity and looking forward to hopefully what is a bright second half of the season to come. Leon, mate, lovely to have you on. Lovely to have you on for a positive show, mate. Thank you so much, bud. And looking forward to the next time. Thank you, mate.
I'm just wondering if this is the most Nuno's been mentioned in a podcast since he left the club. I don't know, but glad to see that he's still.
To be fair, Leon, Rick mentions him quite a lot.
He thinks I do. I mean,
you do have a few references to Nuno, Rick. I have to be honest.
Let's hope it's not.
A little bit, 72 days.
I may be missaying his name for the effect, but I promise you, mate, I definitely do not miss Nuno Espirito Santo. I promise you I don't. Hopefully we continue with Antonio Conte. Please. But guys, listen, from the wonderful Lee McQueen, from the superb Mr. Cracknell, from the brilliant Leon Emirali, thank you so much for all your love, all your support this evening. We're back with you on Saturday night as Crack sees you off there with Nuno in the background. Please, as always, guys, keep safe, keep well. I'll make you proud. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.